Hey guys, Nick here, and today we're going to talk about the best ships in Star Trek Online. So, as I've done in the last few of these videos, like the best of, I'm going to give you my criteria. So, with tanking, these ships, it's not going to be anything really from traits or consoles. I'll try and mention them if they're relevant, give your impact to tanking, but I'm going to mention mostly bridge officer seating because bridge officer seating it allows to get what we need. So my main how to's when I look at a tank, at least a lieutenant commander attack, but I don't want to go too high because it still needs to be like a cruiser. But I don't want to have like a lieutenant commander attack and a lieutenant attack because then it's too much. A lieutenant commander attack and then everything else being something else is perfect because it's just enough what you need. Same again with engineering. I want to just have my commander engineering command, and that's all I want it to be, a locked attack. Because if you have another seeding attack or engineering, sorry, it's too much. Same with science. Well, actually, no, not same with science. Actually, science is good. So if you have two locked science seats, that's fine because science can be used as unconventional systems proc. Heals, polarize hull, debuffs. Science is actually quite a valuable bridge officer seat to have, but you need that balance. You don't want to have too little tack and like way too much engineering and a little bit of science. That's the balance. So that's why like some ships will be in honorable mentions and some will be up the front because its seating is a bit more universal and it has that right balancing act to be a great tank. Anyway, guys, this is in no particular order on the lists. I'm just gonna mention them basically as I pulled them up on the wiki. I did a slight order for like maybe price and accessibility and the order I want to talk about them in. But first up on the screen, because it's another tank build to show you guys, I want to show you my Undine Koavi Biocruiser build, which is my support tank. So I'm not going to talk about the build. I'm not going to like go into why I've done certain things. I'm just going to reference and show it on screen as this is a different style of tanking because in supported runs, you need to be quick, you need to be able to move, you need to be where you need to be, and the Koavi does that better than no others. But it can also be translated in everyday content because tanks need to be where they need to be. That's their important job. If you're not there to tank the damage, you've failed at your job. So you got to be where you need to be. So that's where the threat is, where the main targets are, and grabbing threat. So the Undine Koavi, the reason why this ship is very unique and very liked by the higher end in the tanking community is that it is one, it's commander command, so we can run our suppression barrage 3. And guys, every single ship on this list is a commander command ship. So those you might mention like the Kronos or maybe the Vengeance is a tank ship or maybe the Tarantula. You know, suppression barrage 3 just makes tanks so much like easier to run because you have negative 50 outgoing damage to your enemies. So an easy way of saying on like an ISC, I used to take in like 7 million damage on when I used to start the tank. My first tank was a Miracle Worker D7, and I had to try and build it to take in 7 million damage in an ISC. I swapped that to a Styx, that exact same build, no changes, 3.5 million damage in because of Suppression Barrage 3. And then the runs obviously got a little quicker, so I didn't have to build quite so tanky. But enough about that, guys. So just the value of Suppression Barrage 3. You just think, if you have a build that's a tank that's not on Suppression Barrage 3, you look how much damage you take in, cut that in half, and then you think about it from there. But the main point of why I really like this ship is the pilot station. So at any given time, I might have evasive maneuvers running, pilot team running, and clean getaway running. So that means it's plus like 700 and something percent flight speed and turn rate because of a few different abilities. So this ship moves quicker than any tank because I don't think there's any other tank in the game. Like there is the legendary Walker that has command and has pilot, but I don't, you're not going to run that as a tank. You could run that as a tank, but I have never seen anybody try and tank on the legendary walker, just because you buy the legendary walker and you use it as a DPS. But you can easily do it because suppression barrage 3 is that potent. Anyway, guys, so this is the build. I'm not going to go into any detail on it. I just want to show you off and say, look, this is what I do on this ship, and this is why I really like it. So I like it because, it's got that Lieutenant Commander tack. It's got that Lieutenant Commander science, so here. And it's got that just enough engineering. And then the others is universal, so you can choose what you want. So here I've got my unconventional systems procs. I've got my gravity well. I've got my just enough tack. I've got my just enough engineering. So it's got that good universal seating, and it's got that 4/4 that we want. It's got a track fire that we want, and it's got that high enough hull modifier that we want, so it's not too squishy. Anyway, guys, next up, we're going to jump over to Google Chrome, and we're going to go through the list, and going to talk about a few different ships. I'm going to talk about why I liked them, why they're the better tanks in the game, and why, certain things are for certain reasons. All right, so guys, this first up is a list of all ships that can run Suppression Barrage 3, our command seating at the commander level. So that means they have the ability to run Suppression Barrage 3. I'm just going to tell you why. So if you search by tank, you're going to, I'm going to search by hull modifier. What ship has the highest hull modifier? The reason why the legendary Ross and the Herc Vedrid aren't on my list as the best tanks in the game. One, the Vedrid doesn't have a track fire. Sure, that isn't a game breaker, a game changer, but that means you don't have increased threat generation, and you don't have the negative threat generation to your team. So your threat generation on that ship is actually quite a bit worse off compared to the other ships on this, because every single ship on this list has a track fire. So I always recommend a track fire. And the reason why the legendary Ross isn't on this list is because I don't know if it's it's easy enough to see, but it only has a Lieutenant Science and an Ensign Universal, and it's got a lot of locked engineering. So it's got a Commander Engineering Command, and then a Lieutenant Commander Engineering locked, which means just way too much engineering, not enough science. It's got enough tack, but it's just way too heavy on the engineering to be really anything helpful in the tanking world, comparatively to everything else. Alright, first up is the combination of the Fleet Baran and the Fleet Quoj. So these are exactly the same ship, same hull modifier, same standard hull, same bridge officer seating. So we've got our Lieutenant Tack, our Lieutenant Tack Command, our Commander Engineering, our Lieutenant Commander Sci, and our Lieutenant's Universal. So it's a little bit more tack that we would want at a lower level, but it's workable. It's the highest hull modifier in the game, with the highest hull in the game, that has a track fire and the ability to run a gravity well 1. That's why I think it's probably a good first choice or first mention in this list. And as well as the standard Baran, it won't be listed here, but the standard Baran, if you don't own the Baran and you want to get into tanking, the Baran has a trait called Unified Engineering, which is a good team ability that adds to all good stats. It adds to flight speed, it adds to turn rate, it adds to cooldown reduction, it adds to health regen. I think it adds to health as well. So I can tell you right here, actually, I'm running it. Yep, so you see, maximum hull, recharge speed, 10% turn rate, 10% flight speed, and 50% hull. And this is a stacking trait, so you can stack this 4 times with a team if they're all running it, and it means it's quite the good trait. So that comes from this ship, as well as our Ion Storm generator, which is 500% threat generation. So on that build where you really want to grab every bit of threat that you can, the Ion Storm is a perfect tool for that, because that's plus 500 alongside every other bit of threat generation you got. So just a little recap. You've got the highest hull modifier in the game, highest hull in the game, that has the ability to run gravity well, has the ability to run all the bits that we need, has a hangar bay, has attract fire, and all just the tools we want to make a really good tank. So I'm going to take away our Baran and our Quoj. So remember, guys, it's just got all the tools that you want for a good tank. And the same with all of these ships. So The fleet Justiciar, oh, that was a butcher, Command Star Cruiser. So it's got the second best or the third best now ship in the game. I can tell you here, it is the second best ship in the game that can run attract fire, can run suppression barrage 3, can run a gravity well 1, and it's not too bad on the price. So, and the looks, I prefer the looks of this ship to the brand, but now with the Iwani pets out, this ship's probably taken a little bit of a ding on its value because the brand is tankier, can do basically the same bridge officer seating that this ship can, and also brings that hangar bay to bring the debuff if you're running the Iwani pet. So that's why, by debuffing your enemies, they're dying quicker, which means you have to tank less damage. So, the Baran is a tankier ship, and as well it can bring more debuff to the run. So it just wins out a little bit on the value, but the Justiciar is still a beast of a tank. It's my main choice for tank ship that I run right now for like high incoming damage. So if we're going into a Corfez, I'm taking the Justiciar. If we're going into a Hive Space Elite, I'm taking the Justiciar. That's my main pick right now. But as well as I'm looking at the fleet version because of the stats. But if you want to go and jump over and look at the standard Justiciar, it comes with a decent tank console that gives you plus hull and plus hull resistance. So good tank stats. And the trait itself is a taunt when using command abilities. So if you don't have too many traits to tanking, taunting is good because that means you're generating or you have the threat on that target. So, you're taking the damage instead of a DPS or somebody else on a team who isn't built to take the damage isn't. Alright, next up, the legendary Verity Command Dreadnought Cruiser. So, same again, good combination on the bridge officer seating. 4/4, high hull modifier, high standard hull, can run a gravity well, can run suppression barrage 3, has a hangar bay like the Baran, so it can run the Iwani pets, and it's decently it's a decent I would say a decent price. If you got the 10th anniversary bundle, this is a count unlock ship that is probably in the top 5 best ships for tanking currently in the game. So if you want a tank, you have the ship and none of the others, you're still set, because then you can also, if you wanted to, build it on multiple characters for no additional cost of, say, buying the sticks again, or buying the Kawavi again, or buying, like, maybe the next ship we're going to mention, the Friendship, ever again, The legendary Verity. So if you've got the 10th anniversary, you got all the consoles from the Odyssey or flagship variant. So you've got the adaptive emergency systems, you've got the flagship computer, so you've got the important two-piece for tanking. So it means you've got good console already if you have this ship. You've got good bridge officer seating already from the ship. You got the ability to run the best debuffing pets in the game now, and you have it on a counter lock if you already have it once. So just all up, a really good, well-rounded ship, this one. And the Undine Kawavi Bio Cruiser. So the reason why the Undine was on this list that I mentioned from earlier when I showed off my support build, it's mobility. So most tanks are not moving that well. If you have the competitive engines, you can get them moving. Maybe you run auxiliary power to inertial dampeners, I think stability is called. So that's the plus, like, movement speed ability, plus flight speed, turn rate. Maybe to help you move a bit more. But this ship can run pilot team. This ship can run clean getaway, so it can run plus speed, plus movement speed, plus turn rate. And it's just naturally is a quite a maneuverable ship. So you look at its turn rate, 11, compared to, say, like the Styx, is 7. So it's got quite a bit higher. And you look at our others, 8 turn rate, 6 turn rate, 6 turn rate, 8 turn rate. So it's got a nice turn rate. Impulse modifier is higher. So it's just a beefier ship. And you look at inertia. Inertia rating on the Styx, 30. Inertia rating on the Kawavi, 40. So the higher inertia you have, the less drift you have. So it means it's easier to get it into position. And that's the main job of a tank. you need to be where you need to be where the threat is, and you need to be where the threat is first. So yeah, there's a joke I could make with a run from Spencer from earlier, how I was DPSing and Spencer was tanking for me. I beat him to the position, I die, and I go, I wish I had a good tank, It's just, you can see Spencer just say terrible, he knew he failed me, and there's not much else he could say, but anyway, guys. So main point there, this ship I think is very undervalued because there's no other ship like it that that can run suppression barrage 3, can run attract fire, and as well has pilot seating to be just a maneuverable tank. Like, this thing moves like an escort. You fly the sticks and then you put the exact same build on the Quavi, and it just moves so much better, and it's just a fun ship to fly. All right, so next up, the aforementioned sticks. So guys, this was probably the best tank in the game for a long while because it had good hull modifier, good high standard hull, great bridge officer seating, great unconventional systems procs, good tactical like a bridge officer's abilities. You don't have too many. Your ability to run a gravity well, and you had the pets. So the pets from this are the elite. I'm about to say the elite fleet. So the Terran frigates. So we go to our Terran frigates. Jump over to our Terran frigates real quick, and I'll just explain why. So at the commander, not the commander level, but the elite fleet level, these pets had suppression barrage 3 and attack pattern beta 3 with fire at will 3. So there was only 2 pets until about a week or 2 ago that had pets that did debuff, and as well as then pets as well giving suppression barrage. That made the sticks just the best tank in the game because no other ship in the game could run these pets. So that gave the sticks a decided discernible advantage. Like, you could bring more debuff, you could bring great bridge officer seating, you could just bring a big beefy tank into a run, and you could as well bring more suppression barrage being spread around. So maybe the pets were just outside your radius, but they're still giving suppression barrage around. So everything in a huge radius was getting suppression barrage 3, so that everything was doing -50 outgoing damage. So it was just a beast of a tank. But because of the Awani carrier that come out with the 14th anniversary bundle, and those pets being unlocked, those pets bring so much more debuff because there's more of them in each bay. So instead of, I think it's 1 in each bay, there's 3 in each bay. They also have they also have attack pattern beta 3 and an ability called close sensor pass 3. So they have more debuff, there's more of them, and they are unlocked to every single ship. So that means there is new combinations of tanks that have been theory crafted. I don't think I've seen one being run, but I'm going to mention it now. So the last 1 or 2 choices on this list is the Friendship. So I gotta say, the Friendship and the Voth Rampart. So in the game, we've done a little bit of research. So when these pets have come out as the best pets basically you want to run on every single build, we had a look. What ship has command, 2 hangar bays, and the ability to run attract fire? There are 2 ships in the game. The Friendship Command Flight Deck Carrier and the Voth Rampart. So they're pretty similar in the sense both have command, lieutenant command attacks, they have lieutenant commander size, and then they have universal seatings. So if you wanted to run one of these, or you wanted to pick one of these up and to run that combination of 2 hangar bays of Awanis, and as well as being a tank that can run suppression barrage 3 and attract fire, you can basically make up your personal choice on which one you want to run. It is to be noted that the Voth Rampart is in the Muds in Command choice pack. So if you have that Muds bundle, you have this ship on account unlock, so you could run this combo. And the Friendship is not. It's just in the Infinity T6 prize pack. So you need to get yourself a T6 ship box to get yourself one of these ships. So that's a little bit to be noted. But my personal choice is going to be the friendship. So, guys, if you know the stream, or I keep saying the stream, the channel goal of hitting 1,000 subs and then opening up a 1,000 keys was met a day ago. So this coming weekend on Sunday my time, Saturday probably everybody else's time, I'm going to be opening up 1,000 keys on the live server. So most likely I'm going to win a couple ship boxes. I'll be giving away one of them, but my first ship that I'm going to rip out of these boxes is going to be the Friendship Command Flight Deck Carrier, and I'm going to put it on my tank character because I want to try this combo out of 2 bays of Awani pets as the tank. Anyway, guys, next up, I'm going to just do my quick honorable mentions. So I'm just going to have 2 today. First up is the Terran Sirius Command Dreadnought Cruiser. So it is probably our best Galaxy, well, this is a Gal X tank in the game, because the only other tank, only other tank Galaxy is that has command to command is the Ross, and that can't run a gravity well. So I just don't want to see it as a tank, or don't want to use it as a tank. You can if you really want to, but my choice, if I wanted to run a Galaxy variant, which I still think this is a Galaxy variant, I would run the Terran Sirius. So, like most of these ships, they have high hull. Like this has a high hull, high modifier, 4/4, has a hangar bay, can run suppression barrage 3, can run a gravity well. But if you see here, it's got locked engineering seats. So that means you're just going to have a few too many engineering seats that just don't give you great utility or great choices as a tank. So it just didn't make my list today. But it's, if you say the ships I mentioned before were the top 6, this might be 7 or 8. So it's still a very good tank. It'll still tank any content in the game. It's just not quite as efficient at doing what it does as the others. But it can still do the combination of Awani pets. It can still run Suppression Barrage 3. It can still run a Gravity Well 1. It has just enough tax so it's not too heavy. It's just the locked engineering lieutenant is what really goes, that hurts this ship. But I'm still going to set a build up on one for my, I think for my streams, because I just love the idea of having a Galaxy. So like a Galaxy or a Gal X, maybe the Galaxy class beta variant, I might set that up like that and set up a tank build. So, maybe we'll look forward to that. And next one up is the Kelvin Timeline Constitution Heavy Command Cruiser. So this is not the legendary, this is the lockbox Kelvin Connie, which is the command. The reason why it's here today is it's got the same as all of these ships. The ability to run Suppression Barrage 3, high hull modifier, ability to run a gravity well, and as well, it's got temporal unconventional systems proc. But like the Sirius, it's got locked seating, and as well, I think the price and just the choice now without the ability to run a hangar bay, so it's losing out on then. And comparatively to like the Justiciar and the Baran and a few other ships, it just doesn't provide anything of value as a tank compared to those. So for the price, like, it's the same sort of mastery package, the same sort of seating, similar or less hull than the Justiciar and the Baran, so just doesn't win out. The only reason to run this ship, probably, if you don't have it on account unlock from the mods, is because you love the look of the ship. Myself, I have this ship on an altar mine as a full Kelvin themed tank. Like, it's using Kelvin weapons, Kelvin beams, Kelvin torpedoes. It's in a Kelvin uniform with Kelvin ground weapons. It's a full Kelvin theme tune, and probably didn't think you'd hear that from me, but it's there. I can show it off on stream one time if it's requested. But it's still a beast of a tank. I've tanked in many ISCs from many high-end runs. It still just does just okay. It's not perfect. It's not amazing, but it gets the job done because I just know when to click things and I know where to be, so it works. But it's not just for what it gives. It's not your one that you can get on a counter lock really easily because you're going to spend a lot from the mods, or it's not from the fleet store that you can get from getting your T6 reps. So yeah, just the method of acquisition for the ship for what it gives you is just a bit higher on the scale. Like, this is still probably the maybe 10th best tank in the game, but it just doesn't quite, make that top 5. So guys, this is going to be the end of this video. I just want a quick mention. I want to say thank you to everybody for the growing support on the channel. It really means just everything to me. I didn't think a month ago that little old me could upload videos and have people watch. So guys, I want to say a big thank you. If you have any YouTube suggestions, I've added a YouTube suggestion to my Discord, which there are links down below, or you can add it in the comment section below. I try and get to them if I have an idea to them. Like, if I have an idea that if you guys mention, and if I have the video going in my head, I go, oh yeah, I'll try and make them. But anyway, guys, I think that'll be it for tonight. I'm looking at the time and going, I think it's time for bed. I want to say, if you like this video, please press that like button, comment down below, and smash that subscribe button, guys. Let's keep this channel growing. And I'm going to say thank you and good night, and we'll see you next time. Bye.